Okay, guys, I have a secret that I need to tell you. I actually kind of like Netflix's Cowboy Bebop. Oh, come on, guys, come on, Gordon, come on, man, come on, it's not that bad. Come on. Snoop Dogg, come on, man, come on, come on. Yeah. All right, I guess I should explain why. Okay, so it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I actually wrote a couple page little mini essay about the first episode, which is kind of pointless now because my views have changed and I just wasted time doing this. So, oh my god. Ugh. A lot of things that I didn't like initially when I saw that first episode actually changed. I think there's some things that really worked out really well in the series as a whole, and obviously there's a million other things that fucking sucked. Why did they change it? Why would you change like a lot of source material and make some things really weird? Which I'm gonna get into. I'm gonna get into why I actually enjoyed it and why it just fucking sucked at the same time. There's a lot of things that people have mentioned already, so I'm pretty much just gonna be highlighting a few of them. Moving on. So I plan to talk about some positives first and then move on to negatives, but I kind of realized that a lot of my positives and negatives blend together because everything has some like really good stuff, and then there's some other stuff that I just want to burn in hell because it's horrible and I hate it. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was the actors. I think the actors did a phenomenal job. I think with what they were given, what they had to work with, I think they did really good. Specifically, Mustafa. It's got to be Mustafa, right? I think Mustafa Shakir did a phenomenal job. That sweet, beautiful man with those gorgeous, luscious biceps. Ooh. He did a really good job. I think he really encapsulated who Jet is as a person. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? Why love you too? Mustafa did a phenomenal job being Jet. I think he really encapsulated who he was as a person. I think there were some things where he felt like more controlling than he would in the anime, but all in all, I think it worked out really well. I think John Cho's performance was really good too. I think it kind of threw me off because of his age. Spike's supposed to be like 20-something-year-old dude, and John Cho's like 54. So like I feel like I could see his age in the live action. I mean, it worked out fine. I think he did a great job as well. I think he had a lot of awesome one-liners, and I think his chemistry between him and Shakir was like chef's kiss, man. It was so good. They just worked out so good together, and I wanted more. I wanted more of their sweet, beautiful, sexy chemistry. I see a lot of people give flack for Daniela Pineda. I'm going with Pineda. I think that's right. I feel like that's how Faye would react. Faye's a 20-something-year-old who got out of cryo freeze a couple years back and is just trying to figure out their place in the world 50, 60 years from now. I'm not much older than that, and I got a sailor's mouth that makes those sweet, luscious, masculine seamen clutch their pearls tightly as I walk by down on their buoys. Why did I say buoys? The poop deck? It's related. You know they were doing something with that. Enough about the actors. I think I made a decent enough point about them. Let's move on to the plot. This plot has me feeling some mixed feelings. There were some changes that I was hesitant at first, but really came to welcome in the end. And then there's some things that make me really wonder if God is even real, and if existence has any more purpose than luck that a bunch of monkeys decided to get high as fuck off a bunch of mushrooms. Some good things that I actually liked about the plot. I thoroughly enjoyed the idea of Jet having a kid. Here's a little kid right here. It's not the same kid. When I wrote the previous script for the first episode, I highlighted Jet having a kid as one of the biggest problems, mostly because it didn't fall in line with the anime, where the whole thing was that he couldn't keep his work-life balance really well, and the whole thing was that, the girlfriend left because he was very dedicated to his work being a detective. And I initially didn't like that. I didn't like that he had a kid, but as the series went on, I grew to actually really enjoy the dynamic he had with trying to be a father and also trying to kill people. Not try to kill people. Make money. Make money. I was pretty iffy about Faye's introduction into the series. It felt really forced. Like, she didn't need to be there. She didn't need to be there at that point in the very first episode. I felt that was too forced. They brought in the name of this one character that's a one-off that you'll never hear or speak of again. It seemed very pointless. Oh my god, my allergies. I felt it was super forced. Faye could have been brought in a lot smoother, more naturally, but it didn't happen. They just wanted to put everyone in, try to put their whole shticks in all at the same time in the one episode, and it just didn't work too well. I talked a lot about really enjoying Jet. I think Jet was one of my personal favorites, but I also really like Spike. I think all the characters are dead on, like how I imagined they would be for more grounded live action, and I think Spike was a phenomenal job as well. John Cho did a beautiful job as well. I know I had like my weird personal issues with it, but I think he did a really good job. I think Spike's witty remarks whenever they're in a dangerous situation really comes out naturally and works really well. Like this scene right here.
Nice.
That was I think that was like my favorite scene in that whole series, was just that one little bit. A lot of his witty remarks always left me with a good little laugh, little chuckle, because it's Spike. He's cool, man. He's cool. He's chill. He's just living life to the fullest, as carefree as possible, while hiding his demons and acting like everything's all right. As with most things for this series, the atmosphere was always hit or miss. It had some beautiful scenery, like shots of the city, shots of the ships, inside the ships, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked the camera work that was around it. I thought it was a pretty unique style. There was a lot of interesting angles and stuff. I thought it added to what's supposed to be the uniqueness of this series of Cowboy Bebop. I think it worked out really well. My biggest issue was with the father-daughter scenes of Jet. A lot of those scenes were super out of place. Like, the main characters felt really out of place. Like a nice white suburban house, and there's just this bounty hunter dude walking through what looks like a 2015 modern-ish suburban house, and it looks weird. It's not supposed to fit. This isn't what I imagined 20, 70, 80, whatever year it is to be. Why are things still in our present? Why aren't they in the future? Why are there cars? I mean, I guess I could see there being some retro cars, like 1950s, because they're super sought after, but it just doesn't fit in because everyone has one. It just felt weird. It didn't feel right. I've been talking a lot about the plots and the actors and stuff. I think I got to get into the more serious business, the negative stuff, such as Julia. So I'm actually reading through my current script, and I realize I can't say a good chunk of it, mostly because I'm swearing a lot. because I really did not like Julia's whole story. I think Julia's little side story was absolute garbage. Like big stinky poo-poo, man. It was horrible. Instead of being this really cool, like mysterious badass chick, she ends up being this whiny little bitch that I just really don't like. And I don't know why they thought giving Julia this whole crappy victim blaming my life is so shitty side story instead of like keeping her kind of mysterious or something like that. It could have been great. She rubbed me the wrong way, 100%. I get wanting to add more to her story. She's a very important character and an important figure in Spike's life, and so wanting to develop a bigger character into the story, I totally get. I think it could have worked out really well. I think they really screwed the pooch on this, and they really messed her up, and it's so frustrating. One of the things that I liked about her being mysterious was that you'd only get like little hints of like flashbacks from Spike of like how they met, you know, what happened, why she's not there. I feel like her marrying Vicious could have been an interesting change to the story. I felt like it could have brought something new to the table, but instead, all it pretty much does is that it just makes her seem like helpless, and like she turns into this whole like victim blaming bullshit towards the end. Like, oh, my life is so hard. I can't just run away even though I have full freedom to go wherever I want to, and it's very obvious that no one's following me because I'm asking questions about Spike and trying to take control of the oh my god, I can't think of it. Syndicate. That's it. And it's like, you know, like you have all this opportunity to like leave. You're not into this dude, and it's like you kind of only got with him because you thought Spike died. Come on, that's not how it works. The ending, the final episode, which let me once again, big spoilers right here, big alarms going off. We got 2 alarms now. Big spoilers. Oh my god. Excuse me. She ends up finally seeing Spike, and it's supposed to be like this cool, great reaction, like that finally they're together, but instead she looks at him. She's just like, you left me. Why didn't you come for me? Why did you trust him? Why didn't you trust me? Even though I wasn't there, but you thought that I wanted to be with him. And it's like, what? Like, even Spike's just, like, Spike has this whole look of, like, let's see if I can do it. It's like, he goes on this whole thing where he's just like, I thought you loved him, wanted to be with him. And she's like, why would you trust him? Why would you trust him? It's like, I've known him longer than I've known you. I was killing people with this guy. We were besties. We were like this. We were like this. And you expect me to think I'm gonna go hoes before bros? No. Bros before hoes. Until, you know, all that. I just didn't like her. She was a badly written character. Nothing wrong with the actor. The actor played the part really well. The most annoying thing is that she wanted to get away from the syndicate. She didn't want to be there. She wanted to leave it. She wanted to go get away from it. But she said, no, my only option now is to fucking run it. And instead of just killing Vicious, I'm going to hold him in a boiler room and just point a gun at him and see if it kills him for the day or not. And lo and behold, I'm doing the actions for you because you're just too unwell. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. I think it could have been really cool. It could have been an interesting story in the second season. Like they clean it up, you know, they pull out the old little duster, dust away the poor crap in the script and be like, you know, this might actually be an interesting story for Julie running Syndicate where Spike has to like choose his feelings over, you know, whatever the betterment is or something like that. So I think that could have been an interesting story. How they got to that point was crap. But it doesn't matter. The series was canceled, so we'll never see it. Whatever. Just leave it open-ended. I really liked some of the villains, like Fad, Dr. Landis, who didn't have as surprising of a twist as the anime did, and Murdoch. But some that really didn't hit home, it just fell flat. Like the biggest one that I always think of is Hakim. Hakim is like this, supposed to be this like 6'4" something intimidating guy, and he's like kind of reduced to this dude who has like serious self-esteem issues, and it super sucks. The fight scene with Hakim was awesome.
Nice.
But then just like the whole like rest of it where he's doing like the hologram face covering thing, it just sucked. Some others that I think fell flat as well was like the Mad Pierrot and then the Teddy Bomber. The Teddy Bomber, I think in the anime was one of my favorite villains. I love the whole idea behind it where he was, destroying these big monuments to capitalism for the sake of how evil capitalism is. But in this one, in the live action, they just turn him into this terrorist who uses teddy bears for bombs, hence the Teddy Bomber. And it sucked. It wasn't good. There was like no impactful meaning behind why he was doing it. He was just some crazy dude. It's just disappointing. The very intro of the entire series, where it starts with the guys robbing the casinos, just really sucked. The whole thing that the guy was doing was that he was robbing a casino in the name of defying capitalism. Like, why? It just felt like it was forced and shoved in to make it seem like this guy is just doing it for these strong idealistic views when the dude was down to kill anyone, and it seems so dumb. And like the whole story of like, oh, I used to work at a casino and I got fired.
I worked in a casino once until they fired me for stabbing a pit boss in the eye.
And it's like, oh yeah, that sucks. What'd you do? Oh, I stabbed a dude. Yeah, I would get fired too if I stabbed a dude. Like, you don't just stab people. He's like angry about being fired for doing something you're not supposed to do, and then he blames it on capitalism, and it's so dumb. And of course, Edward. I didn't want to do a whole bullet point about Edward. I think a lot's already been said by various different people. I just wanted to say it didn't work out. The one thing that they tried to follow so closely to the anime ends up being this overly animated character, and it just looks so weird. You could still make Ed super hyper and stuff. Like, that totally works. Obviously, there's very hyper people, but it's the doing all this. It's like victory, villains.
I have a job for you.
It looks weird.
Batman's big reward.
It looks so weird. You don't have someone that goes around doing this.
We have to find the butterfly man.
Yeah, we're gonna save.
Ooh, danger, danger.
It was the weirdest thing to do, like a direct from anime. Of all the things that you could have done, you chose this one thing, and it flopped hard. And one last one. Why is Mexico orange? There was a lot of issues with the series that I didn't like, but it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I think the show was very much westernized, even more so than what the initial anime was with its spaghetti western influences. But it was through that westernization, it was kind of fun. There's a lot of things that don't translate well between animation and live action. So I think personally it was going to flop no matter what. You can't capture the key points of what Bebop is as an anime into real people moving around. A lot of it's going to look forced. The dialogue's going to sound weird. I think no matter what was done, it was just going to be a flop. There's just so much love and adoration behind the initial anime because there's a lot of people that grew up with it, like you or me. But I think with what they came up with is fun. Similar in like a Marvel's movie sense, kind of fun, where you're going to see some inconsistencies, but you just like the fighting scene, seeing your comic book characters that you grew up with come to life is such a cool feeling. And I think with this first season of Bebop, I think it's going to bring in a lot of a new crowd of people who've never been interested in Bebop or just anime in general, and having this cool little like footstep where it's just a fun little thing, I think will help bring more people in. And maybe they will see the original Bebop, which is on Netflix, and they'll see how cool it is, and you know, they'll have the same like appreciation that a lot of us already have for the series. But I think it's going to become something that's really underrated in the future, that a lot of newcomers or more casual audience are just really going to enjoy. And I mean, I'm a huge Bebop fan. I've loved the series for 20 years, and I had fun with it. I think it was a fun little thing to watch, and I'm glad that I got to see it. Could it have been better? Yeah, it could have been better. They could have done a lot of things differently. I think for what we got, I thought it was fun. I had a good time. And that's what matters most, is, you know, having a good time, whether it lives up to the expectations or not. Thank you so much for watching. This was my first time trying to do a video with a script, and it turns out
I'm horrible with scripts.
but I wanted to try and get my point across with how fun this little show is. Who knows? Maybe people will still be watching it 3 months, a year down the line. They'll be like, yeah, it's the worst fucking show I've ever seen. Why don't you just delete it, Netflix?